Well, hey there, it's Brent Adams with Inside Farm Life, and I'm back with a new episode. Episode 7 is live now, and you can find that at Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Deezer, Audible, Odyssey, and YouTube. A lot of places to find that podcast. Well, you got a big show this week. Lance Ruppert, who's the Director of Agronomy Technology with Growmark, is along. They've got a new partnership with Indigo Ag, and they're talking about carbon farming, helping farmers navigate all these questions that they have, how to get involved in carbon farming, sequestering carbon credits, everything you want to know. These guys might have the answer for it, so I hope you go give that a listen. Then we bring in Matt LeCroy, who is with Massey Ferguson. He's got a great new podcast called Hay Talk, and this guy lives and breathes hay and forage. He's got 7 episodes out right now that take you from the field all the way to the barn with the finished hay, and he's going to start creating some new episodes that go a little more granular on each of those topics. So I hope you'll go and listen to our show, then go listen to his show and get all the details there from him. And then the August WASDE report came out on Thursday, and our buddy Jesse Allen is along. He's got Arlan Suderman with Stone X, and they are breaking down that report. A few surprises in there, so I hope you'll go listen to that and educate yourself on everything you need to know about the August WASDE report. And everybody, the hot rod farmer, Ray Bohacz, is back here talking grease this week. You know, many different types of farm applications use different kinds of lubricants. And do you know what you're doing before you go in there and just start slapping one type of grease on everything? Ray has some food for thought there, so I hope you go give him a listen. Then we're taking things back to the country with our friend Cody Ikerd of Cody Ikerd and the Sidewinders. He's got a new single out called Guitars and Whiskey, 2 things central to the country music lifestyle. And that's a rocking song, man. It'll get you going. So I hope you go listen to him and then find out all you need to about Cody Ikerd, one of the great up-and-coming traditional country artists here in the business. I'll tell you, we've got, as I say every week, a lot going on here, and we're building up to all these farm shows, conferences, conventions. We've got a lot in the way of podcasts, live streams, the 24/7 radio station, FarmLife Radio, which you can find at live365.com. And make sure you go and bookmark the new website coming soon here in the next 2 or 3 weeks, farmlifemedia.com, where we're going to have a collection of all these podcasts, video projects, blogs. We'll have a community page where everybody can get on and talk about different topics in the industry. So I hope you go bookmark that and be paying attention here to the socials. We'll let you know when that thing is up and going. It's going to be really slick, and I can't wait for you to see it. Well, so much happening here, but I want to thank you guys so much because we can't do any of this without you. And as I tell you every week, we are on a mission to build the largest farm family on the planet, and it's all because of you guys. So thank you so much for all this. And we want to say a big special thank you to our friends at AGCO, who are the presenting sponsors of Inside Farm Life for the month of August. And we hope you'll go and check out their booth. If you're going to Farm Progress in Decatur, Illinois, August 31st through September 2nd, they're going to be there, and they have a huge presence. We're going to be there with them, and you can see us do some shows from there. And just get up close and personal. Go check out some of those Fendt tractors. Go check out some of the Massey Ferguson stuff they've got there, and learn about the full line of AGCO products. And we want to thank those guys. Also, our friends at Concept Agritech, GoatLifeClothing.com, and Gateway Seed, all great supporters of Inside Farm Life. Well, I tell you what, we're going to get out of here, start preparing again for next week so we can bring you a new episode. But now I want to present to you this week's episode of Inside Farm Life.
For a more dependable, durable, and capable tractor, check out the lineup of high-horsepower Massey Ferguson equipment. The 7700 S Series tractor is loaded with features to increase your comfort and productivity. And if you run a dairy farm, the RB Series balers are built to handle everything your operation demands. Straightforward, dependable Massey Ferguson equipment. Visit masseyferguson.com to find out more.
Welcome to Inside Farm Life, your weekly connection to agriculture newsmakers, hot-button industry issues, educational features, and the best in true country music. Now, here's your host, Brent Adams.
Well, welcome to another episode of Inside Farm Life presented by AGCO. We thank you for giving us some of your time this week.
On this episode, Lance Ruppert, the Director of Agronomy Technology for Growmark, joins us to discuss Growmark's newly formed partnership with Indigo Ag, aimed at helping farmers navigate the ins and outs of carbon farming. Also, Massey Ferguson's Matt LeCroy talks about his new Hay Talk podcast. Jesse Allen is along to recap the surprises in the August WASDE report on this week's Market Talk segment. And the hot rod farmer Ray Bohacz is talking grease in this week's installment of Bushels and Cents. Finally, we take things back to the country with singer-songwriter Cody Ikerd, who has a new single out with his band, the Sidewinders. We can't wait to share all that with you, but first, some news. U.S. Ag Secretary Tom Vilsack on Wednesday announced funding supporting rural broadband expansion under USDA's Reconnect program. USDA Radio's Rod Bain has more.
A major investment in rural broadband announced Wednesday.
$167 million investment that USDA is making in 12 states, designed to construct, improve, and build out facilities to provide high-speed broadband access to rural places.
Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack says these resources and the projects they fund will bring needed high-speed internet to rural schools, medical facilities, businesses, and farms.
This is an opportunity for us to add to the $1.5 billion that we've already invested under the Reconnect program, which has already benefited over 300,000 households across rural America.
The recent investments are part of the second round of the Reconnect program funding, and according to the Secretary, will complement projects included in a comprehensive infrastructure bill recently passed by the Senate and soon to be considered by the House of Representatives.
In that bill, a significant investment to expand broadband.
So how are various farm and rural cooperative representatives reacting to the funding announcements?
I think that federal funds like these Reconnect grants are a vital ingredient to successfully bring rural America into the 21st century.
This is going to be so important to farmers and ranchers and our neighbors in the rural communities, the quality of life.
The Reconnect program fits perfectly with the infrastructure initiative that we are seeing from Congress.
Jim Matheson of the National Rural Electric Cooperative Association, Dale Moore of the American Farm Bureau Federation, and Shirley Bloomfield of the National Telecommunications Cooperative Association, respectively. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
Also this week, what kind of damage have feral swine done to your livestock operation? That's one of the questions USDA is asking in its 13-state producer survey. Gary Crawford has the details.
2 years ago, the USDA did a farmer survey to get at the damages that feral swine were doing to crop operations. And right now, USDA is in the final stages of another survey to determine
feral swine impact on livestock operations.
Travis Averill with USDA Statistics Service says on July 19th, survey forms were mailed out to
18,000 producers in 13 states.
States with the highest populations of feral swine, mostly southern states plus Oklahoma and California. Among other things, producers are being asked to estimate damages they've had from feral swine. Sophie McKee with USDA's Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service says the data from the survey is going to be vital for several reasons, not the least of which is this.
If we have a full picture of all the costs that are inflicted by feral swine, then it's easier for us to ask for money to Congress to control these pigs.
So if you got the survey, haven't responded, you may be getting a phone call from someone who can help you answer it. Also, you can respond online. You've got about a week left. USDA cuts off data collection on the 18th.
And finally this week, Gary Crawford tells us that food prices continue to rise. Here's the latest.
Retail food prices.
It's a very hot topic to be involved in right now.
And economist Carolyn Chelius, who tracks food prices for the Ag Department, says she's not sure whether she likes being in the economic spotlight. But sure enough, food prices are a hot topic, some fairly hot rates of inflation going, for example.
We've seen really large increases over the past few months consecutively for meat categories like beef and veal.
The latest consumer price index showing beef going up last month by over 0.5%, rising about 6.5% over the last 12 months. Pork's up almost 8% higher than a year ago.
So we're seeing a lot of those protein categories really increase.
Grocery store food prices overall continue to rise month after month. July's increase about 0.5%. Now, if that monthly rate were to continue for the rest of the year, we'd have a 2021 price hike of just over 5%. Last year, with COVID, grocery store food prices went up 3.5%. The current forecast for this year, 2 to 3% hike. But USDA will issue a food price forecast update August 23rd. Gary Crawford for the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
And now, what is your goat saying? That is a pretty sweet shirt you got on there. Did you get that from GoatLifeClothing.com? Very humorous and stylish. No, you cannot eat this shirt. I know it looks tasty. GoatLifeClothing.com.
Well, next up on Inside Farm Life, you've likely heard a whole lot of talk the past few months about the carbon markets and how farmers can capitalize on the carbon in their own ground, but there's so much noise in the marketplace, and frankly, it's hard to know who to listen to or what the best path is to making the most of carbon credits. And this week, the folks at Growmark, a farmer-owned cooperative serving about 400,000 customers across North America, and Indigo Ag announced a joint effort to encourage participation in the rapidly growing agricultural carbon market, which is estimated to be about a $42 billion market over the next few years. And today we wanted to welcome in Lance Ruppert, the Director of Agronomy Technology for Growmark, to discuss the partnership and how it might benefit farmers. And Lance, welcome into Inside Farm Life.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I tell you what, this is one of those constantly evolving topics that evokes a lot of chatter, and that can sometimes be overwhelming to farmers who already have a lot on their minds. But Growmark has worked with Indigo Ag to put together a strategy aimed at educating farmers and simplifying the entry into the soil carbon market. First of all, how did this partnership come about?
Well, we had been watching, we've been involved with sustainability for a number of years, probably, as far back 5, 6, 7 years ago. We were involved in some sustainability initiatives with Walmart and other ag companies. Over the last 2 years, definitely in 2020, we were, ramping up, kind of understanding that carbon markets, could potentially come, sustainability in general, whether it's through the, a consumer, through their food purchases, or, just taking care of the environment, a bigger and bigger social issue all the time. So, we've been watching it. We really got into it, I guess, the details after the election a year ago, and then, through the winter to really, kind of dig in and understand it. It's complex, as you stated. There's a lot of depth to this subject if you really want to, dig in deep and understand all the, details. And I'll be the first to admit I don't know all of it, but I spent, really quite a bit of time since the first of the year trying to learn at the end of the day to help our system, help farmers. We want to help farmers make good decisions. Is a carbon, program the right thing for them to do? Does it fit their soils? Does it fit their practice, the way they want to do agronomic practices? Does it fit from an economic standpoint? That's probably one of the biggest questions right now. Can I do this and be in the black versus the red? So, all those factors to help growers hopefully make good decisions. And it's really up to them, where they want to go with this. But, we're there to help them on, mainly 4 key areas. They need to understand the programs so they know what they're getting themselves into, right, and what the requirements are. We want to help them from an agronomic standpoint because you're still going to be growing a cash crop, right? That's your primary source of income. So that's important from an agronomic standpoint that we're helping them grow a crop first and foremost, but then start incorporating some of these conservation practices. Understand the ROI, and then the data side of all this is a big deal too. A lot of data they have to submit to participate and qualify for these programs.
So through this agreement, Growmark's network of FS-branded retailers will help farmers navigate the carbon market through the third-party verified Carbon by Indigo carbon credit program. Lance, why did this program appeal to Growmark, and how will farmers benefit by participating?
I would say Indigo's one of, if not the leader, in building, carbon markets today. They've probably been at it as long as anybody. One big thing is they have registry approval for their program. So the registry is, the kind of the third party verifier and the group that's kind of setting the rules for these markets. And they're important because they're trying to bring some standardization to what a carbon credit is, right? How does it get calculated? What are the parameters that go inside of that? And they're going to be the group that looks at the data. What did the farmer do? model out how much carbon potentially was sequestered, and that's what's going to trigger, a credit or an offset that someone can buy, right? And that's the market side that, drives an income stream for the farmer to get paid for that carbon credit or that offset. So they're the only program out there currently that has registry approval. So, having that is a significant issue. It's important because having registry approval makes the buyer side of the equation feel good about it. They know what they're getting, and there's some substance there. And then, from a farmer standpoint, you know the rules of the road. You know what you have to do and how it's going to be calculated and assessed. So hopefully farmers can feel good about that they're being treated fairly, both on the sequestration side, but also, they've got buyers that hopefully we can build long-term markets in this area. I think we all want it to work long-term, and that's important, and the registries really help.
Well, and that Indigo experience is important because there's stringent measurement and third-party verification standards there that have been set by these global credit registries. And the fact that they have this track record gives you confidence in knowing that they know how to meet those requirements. And it also should be noted that this work has attracted a number of premium credit buyers like JP Morgan Chase, Ralph Lauren Corporation, the North Face, and Barclays, which has increased the price of carbon by Indigo credits by 35% over the last year. So all in all, you put together a program that can put growers on the fast track to success in carbon farming.
That's what we're hoping. Yeah, our forte, right, from Growmark and FS standpoint, we're a cooperative that, works with growers every day. So we're hoping that we can bring that information, that support at the grower level. And then, we're looking for Indigo to be, develop the market, right? So there's a viable market and buyers for those offsets and those credits that our growers can build up in their soils over time.
Well, I don't want to lose that part in all of this because participating FS retailers will not only help farmers evaluate and enroll in Carbon by Indigo, but they'll also help the farmer implement farming practices proven to sequester carbon and abate greenhouse gas emission. So you're not just checking out of the process once folks are enrolled. It's not like just leave them on the doorstep and best of luck to you. You help them see it through.
No, I'd say honestly, the enrollment's the easiest part. Getting a guy signed up, down to the field level. And enrollment is by the field level. But the enrollment's easy, getting signed up. Then the hard work comes. Let's decide what additional practice we're going to do, and then, implement it from an agronomic standpoint and operational standpoint. And then, the data side, you got to submit what you did, how you did it, et cetera. And there's a bit of data in arrears, so they can set the baseline of where you're at today from a carbon standpoint. So yeah, we want to be there helping growers, through all those steps because it is a bit complicated, and they're gonna need resources like hopefully our people to help them through that.
And Lance, if folks want to know more about how to get started in this program, where can they go for more information?
I would say fssystem.com is a good place. That we'll have information, contacts, member companies, et cetera, that maybe are in your listeners' area to, connect, and hopefully we can help them through the journey.
Well, I tell you what, it's a lot to consider, but there's a lot of great opportunities there, and it's not going away anytime soon. So go give this program a look here. And Lance, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us here on Inside Farm Life, and we'd love to invite you to come back in the future to give us a status update on the program. Yeah,
I'd love to. Thanks for having me.
And again, we've been speaking with Lance Ruppert, the Director of Agronomy Technology for Growmark. Like a championship caliber baseball team, your fungicide has to be tough, and Concept Agritech has the solution many of America's top growers trust. BioAid is an EPA-registered fungicide that delivers an initial contact kill of a wide range of fungal pests and is safe to the user and the environment. To find out more about how BioAid can help you increase your yields and deliver a higher return on investment, visit conceptagritech.com. Concept Agritech, technology where you need it most. Well, our next guest on Inside Farm Life is always thinking hay and forage. And like many consumer brands, Massey Ferguson has jumped into the podcasting game with a new podcast called Hay Talk. Matt LeCroy, the host and director of marketing for Hay and Forage North America with Massey Ferguson, does a great job on each episode discussing the science behind getting the best out of hay and forage. And Matt, welcome into Inside Farm Life.
Thank you, Brent. Really enjoy doing my podcast and being here on yours as well.
Absolutely. First of all, congratulations on the launch of the podcast. You've done a great job here of taking a niche topic and really creating a useful tool for any farmer wanting to improve their hay and forage quality. In these first few episodes, you've walked the farmer through each phase of the process from growth all the way to baled and in the barn. How did the idea to turn this whole process into a podcast come about?
Well, we want to, not only sell our equipment to farmers, of course, but we want to make that the equipment that they purchase work as well as possible. So we're even taking it down to the agronomy level. We're not getting to the point where you're planting the seed, but we're looking at the fertilizer level and all the way up, your growing cycle, and when you need to cut your crop, whether it be an alfalfa or a grass hay. And at the end of the day, we want them to turn out the best crop possible. If you're going to, get top of the line of equipment and you're going to spend all the maintenance on it, and we go through that as well, we want to make sure that you're getting the best out of your equipment. So without actually coming into dialing it in ourselves, this is the next best step.
So take me back a bit. Tell me about your farming background and how much your own personal experience you draw from when you prepare for the show.
Yeah, so I grew up on a cow-calf farm in northeast Georgia. Only child, so I was the only hand. My first car was an Oliver tractor, which is a subsidiary name that AGCO owns, and I was doing it all myself, from a very young age. So from the cutting, raking, baling, loading the hay, hauling the hay, feeding the cows in the wintertime, making sure you do get the ring over it fast enough before the bull starts butting the hay like everybody else has to do. So I was a one-man show from a very young age. So it's always been in my life. I've been with AGCO over 18 years in the hay side of it for most of that time. So hay's in my blood.
So as of now, there are 7 episodes of Hay Talk, which include getting your best hay stand, what makes high-quality forage, make the most of mowing, raking and tedding that works, how to bale better, and hauling and storing your hay. Each is an easy listen, between 14 and 33 minutes, but you pack a lot of valuable information into that time. Are there any more episodes in the works?
Yeah, we don't want to give too much away, but we're looking at going a little deeper into some of those processes and also looking at some of the agronomic benefits of it, different processes, different ways of, whether it's storing your hay or how you cut your hay. We touch on some of these subjects within the podcast, looking at tonnage versus quality, for instance. We'll go deeper into those type of subjects as well.
So this year we have some farmers dealing with extreme drought and others dealing with extreme saturation. What can they learn from these episodes that they can apply, or is that something that's going to be addressed in future shows?
There's a little bit addressed in here. You never know what Mother Nature's going to deal you each year. But some of the different processes in here, for instance, storing your hay. When hay is plentiful, you need to be able to store it correctly and make it last as long as possible, because you may not need it this winter. You may need it next winter. So something is in every episode for everybody, and we're going to, like I said, take it a step further and look at what happens when you do have feast or famine year.
So of the episodes you've done so far, do you have a favorite or favorites?
To be 100% fair, some people love baling hay, but my favorite is always cutting hay. To be 100% fair, I love cutting hay. The end product's great. You've got your round baler, your large square, small square, whatever it is, but something's just a little more satisfying for me for cutting hay. So yes, how a proper method of cutting hay is probably my favorite episode.
How has the show given Massey Ferguson's product specialists and the products themselves the opportunity to shine?
Yeah, so we talk with some AGCO employees within the podcast, and also university professors throughout the country. And what we're trying to actually show is how to properly use your equipment, whether it be a mower conditioner or a tedder, and when you should use it. So, for instance, a tedder is not right for everybody. Some people do actually ted alfalfa, but you need to know if you're use a cheddar and alfalfa, that you need to use it early on after cutting, like the very next day type thing. You can't wait 3 or 4 days then and use a cheddar and alfalfa. You'll knock all the leaves off. So that information is within the podcast, and you can learn from that.
Well, I tell you what, Matt, if folks want to listen to Hay Talk, where can they go to do that?
There's a link on masseyferguson.com that's also available through the Google Play and Apple Play.
So just go on there and search for Hay Talk, and you're going to find this. And Matt, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us here on Inside Farm Life, and we'd love for you to come back in the future and give us an update on the show, as well as the great hay and forage lineup from Massey Ferguson.
Will do, Brent. I really appreciate everything you do.
And again, we've been speaking with Matt LeCroy, the Director of Marketing for Hay and Forage North America with Massey Ferguson, and the host of the Hay Talk podcast.
Headed to the Farm Progress Show? Stop by the Massey Ferguson and Fendt booths to see some exciting new equipment on display. Experience the future of farming with the Fendt One Cab. Get up close with Fendt's all-new adjustable clearance sprayer, the Fendt Rogator 900. And best of all, witness the North American debut of the Fendt 300, Massey Ferguson 8S and 5S tractors. Come say hello to your friends at Massey Ferguson and Fendt at the Farm Progress Show, August 31st to September 2nd.
Well, there's plenty of chatter surrounding the Thursday release of the August WASDE report, and Jesse Allen is here to give us all the details in this week's Market Talk update. Jesse.
Well, thank you very much, Brent, and welcome into Inside Farm Life's Market Talk update here this week. We got the August WASDE report out, and it threw some bullish surprises at the trade, including a lowered corn yield from USDA, as well as some changes on the wheat side. A lot of things to unpack there. Arlan Suderman of StoneX runs through what we saw on Thursday's report.
Well, I think the key numbers we were watching for would be the corn and soybean yields, Brazil corn production, and global wheat production. And there were pretty much surprises across the board there. When we look at corn and soybean yield, we were at corn 174.6 bushels per acre, down nearly 5 bushels per acre from last month, down nearly 3 bushels per acre from the average trade guess. Soybeans came in right at the average trade guess of 50 bushels even. The trade was looking for 50.4. It came in where we were expecting at 50 even, and it came in below the previous estimate of 50.8. USDA did not change its new crop ending stocks at all because of some reductions in demand, but overall it showed smaller crops getting smaller. As we look at the wheat numbers, we saw the biggest changes in the global numbers with world wheat stocks dropping roughly 12 million metric tons, most of that because of a drop in world production. The biggest was in Russia with about 12 million metric ton drop there alone. Canada's production dropped all the way down to 24 million metric tons. There were several other countries that saw increases in production to partially offset that. But the big drop in wheat stocks are the two feeding on each other today because they usually play as a substitute for one another in the feed bunk when one gets in short supply. Now we see both kind of tightening in supplies. The other factor being the Brazil corn number coming all the way down to 87 million metric tons. That's where our team in Brazil has been at almost exactly. They did a good job down there in estimating production of that crop. That tightens up the available corn supplies on the world export market and increases demand for U.S. corn. At least that's the expectation going into the new marketing year.
And again, that's comments with Arlan Suderman of StoneX looking back at Thursday's WASDE report. A lot of bullish surprise in the trade. Also, this last week, we were at the National Cattlemen's Beef Association Trade Show and Cattle Industry Convention in Nashville, Tennessee. We caught up with Lance Zimmerman of CattleFax, as CattleFax provided their market outlook here during the convention at Trade Show. And we talked to Lance about that outlook, and he shared some of the highlights from the meeting.
Usually on the first full day of convention, we get the chance to be out in front of folks, talking the markets, talking weather, talking domestic markets, global, and the like. And so, if I was to summarize the session in a nutshell, everybody wants to know two things. Okay, what's the weather situation going to look like for us the next year? What's the market situation? On the weather side, Dr. Art Douglas, he's been with us for 45 years. It was kind of a big deal in this morning's session that this was going to be his last time at convention. So he has an immense respect for farmers and ranchers in the area. Thank them for all they've done for him in 45 years. Likewise, the crowd gave him a standing ovation at the end. Just a really good feel-good moment in the audience. But his message was probably one that was still a little bit sober for guys. You know, we all know we've been going through an extreme drought through the western third to half of the United States, up through the Dakotas and the upper Midwest. His message was one that La Nina conditions that kind of created that probably going to stick with us through the end of this year, maybe even through the winter and into early spring. But some point in 2022, he expects that weather trend to turn. And so a little bit sobering from the standpoint of we're going to be in a drought condition, probably a little bit longer, a little bit drier than we all want to be, probably through this winter, and see a transition next year. On the market standpoint, cattle producers, you know, lots of frustrations over the last 18 months. We all get that emotions have ran pretty high with all the challenges COVID brought us. But our opinion is that the good times that we've seen here lately can be sustained. You know, as long as demand continues to remain exceptional for beef as it has at retail, certainly food service as we've reopened this economy, that cattle producers can have some confidence that the cattle market can have a firm footing under it. We still have some supply challenges, but we think we can kind of work through some of those.
And again, that's Lance Zimmerman from Cattle Facts. That's going to do it for our Market Talk update this week. Find us online, markettalkag.com. You've been listening to the Market Talk update for Inside Farm Life. I'm Jesse Allen reporting.
And as always, you can find Jesse's daily market updates at markettalkag.com. Again, that's markettalkag.com. And you can find him by searching Market Talk on Facebook. He also appears on the American Ag Network, and you can hear him host Your Ag Today, weekday mornings about 6:50 a.m. Eastern on SiriusXM Satellite Radio, Rural Radio, Channel 147. Well, next up on Inside Farm Life, when it comes to lubricating your farm equipment, are you using the right lubricant for the job? On this episode of Bushels and Cents, the hot rod farmer Ray Bohacz provides some important insights.
Welcome to Bushels and Cents on Farm Machinery Digest Radio, heard exclusively on SiriusXM Channel 147 Rural Radio. I am your host, Ray Bohacz, the hot rod farmer, and never forget it is not what you make but what you keep that counts. You do not have to look far on your farm or ranch to find mechanical devices that are required to be greased. Not that many years back, all you needed to do was grab the grease gun and a rag to wipe off the fitting and you were good to go. Today's machinery is not designed around the grease, but instead the grease is formulated around the requirements of the application. This means you must have multiple grease guns, each dedicated to a specific lubricant. Agriculture runs on machinery, profits on reliability. Thank you for making Idle Chatter one of the top 10% of podcasts in the world.
Well, don't forget, you can check out all of Ray Bohacz's great multimedia content at farmmachinerydigest.com, and you can also hear him host Farm Machinery Digest Radio on SiriusXM Satellite Radio, Rural Radio, Channel 147. It airs each Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern and again on Sundays at 6 p.m. Eastern, so I hope you go and give him a listen. Gateway Seed Company was founded in 1997 on a simple principle. It doesn't start with the seed, it starts with the farmer. We pride ourselves in doing all we can to understand our customers' farming operations. We take the time to listen to their concerns, then focus on providing a solution to address their specific needs. Gateway Seed offers seed corn with trait packages from Bayer and soybeans with trait packages from Bayer, Corteva, and BASF. To learn more about how Gateway Seed can boost your yields and increase your return on investment, visit gatewayseed.com. With the business out of the way, now it's time to take things back to the country, where our special guest this week is singer-songwriter Cody Ikerd, who along with his band the Sidewinders have a new single out, Guitars and Whiskey, and we can't wait to talk about that in a bit. First off, Cody, welcome into Inside Farm Life.
Hey, Brent. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
How you been?
I've been great. Just staying really busy this summer with music, fortunately, and, just trying to pay the bills.
Well, Cody's put out some great work this year, including this song, which came out in January. This one's called Losing My Mind on Inside Farm Life. Turn it up.
Flying down a back road, losing my mind, praying to the Lord I can make it in time. She said she's leaving, but I say it ain't right. Now I'm flying down a back road, losing my mind. Well, her heartache has got me wanting sitting by the bed, and a freight train pounding in my head. Still got a broken heart, still killing time, still flying down a back road, losing my mind, losing my mind, seems all the time, between the hurt and the whiskey and the one I can't seem to find, and this old heart is like a diamond in a mine you can't find. Now I'm digging in deep, oh, and losing my mind. Yeah, I'm digging in deep and losing my mind.
Well, Cody, you've been living proof that you don't have to be kicking around Nashville to record great country music and build a following, because you've been quite successful doing it from your home base here in Indiana. What are the pluses and minuses of trying to catch the eye of the music world when you're doing it outside of Nashville?
Yeah, it definitely has its struggles. Just being able to record in a studio in Indiana, you basically have to have the musicians. You're not going to kind of get the union rate that you would normally get down in Nashville, or even the availability. So luckily I've got a band of guys, Jason Thompson, Willie Borif, and Grady Ferguson, and Joe Alterio has been playing pedal steel. And, luckily I've got those guys to back me up and, come up to the studio and take the time to rehearse my songs, play them live, and then go in and cut them in the studio. So, that's a little bit different compared to the normal Nashville scene where you would kind of, walk into the studio, have the producer maybe hire some studio musicians and kind of get it knocked out in a day, a couple hours. So, yeah, it has its own challenges, but, luckily I've got a great support team behind me that, really supports what I'm doing.
And you're recording out of Indianapolis in a place that sounds just as good as any place on Music Row.
Yes, it does. It sounds great. Shout out to Alan Johnson of the Static Shack up in Indianapolis, Indiana. He does a great job, and he's a great guy to work with.
Well, the last time you and I talked was pre-COVID, and you just released your last project, You Can Find Me in a Honky Tonk, which was phenomenal. And then COVID hit. How did you keep things moving forward through COVID so that you could continue to build a following and hit the ground running as things started to open back up?
It was pretty rough at first, just trying to figure out, how can I still stay relevant when I'm not even able to go out and play any shows. Luckily, we had the opportunity to play a couple of live streams with Number One Tequila, which is Ron White and Alex Raimundo's tequila company. So that kind of helped me still be able to have something to promote. During last spring, I actually ended up on there twice, and really just trying to keep the gears oiled up, and by playing a couple of barn shows to some limited audiences and stuff like that, trying to keep the music bug alive and well. And, once it started to open back up, later in the year, we were able to get back out and play some shows. And whenever people were dying to get out to go watch some live music, we were right there to play it for them.
So how'd that Ron White gig come about?
It was a shot in the dark. My dad, Cody Ikerd, was on Facebook one day, and I think one of our buddies down in Louisville, Josh Bogard, did a Number One Tequila stream. And he hit him up and was like, hey, how do you get involved with this? And my dad figured it out from Josh and sent him an email, and they said, hey, we like Cody. Let's have him on.
We got to give a shout out to your dad here, because I see him on Facebook relentlessly tagging you in the band and posts that he puts on, other platforms, trying to get some exposure here, kind of a guerrilla marketing effort here. And he just does yeoman's work and trying to get you noticed, man. That's awesome. That's all you can ask for from your dad, isn't it?
Yeah, shout out to my dad, Cody Ikerd. He does the booking and everything and keeps us busy and is constantly sharing and talking to people about our stuff. And, if we had 1,000 people like him, maybe we could actually go somewhere.
Well, Cody is going places, and it's because of great honky-tonk music like this. Here's the title cut from his You Can Find Me in a Honky-Tonk project on Inside Farm Life.
You can find me in a honky-tonk under a neon light, slow dancing to a steel guitar is where I feel right, all because of my foolish pride. Wound up here tonight with the whiskey, what's left of me. what's left of me. Well, I've been living in this here honky-tonk for damn near 2 weeks straight. 'Cause I ain't got no home round here since you sent me on my way. And I know the towns I'm talking, they know that I've gone insane. And the lies I told about every night is what brought on all this pain. So I'ma walk the floor like the night before with a bottle of Jim Beam. Pour it up until I fall down, and buddy, I don't feel no shame. You can find me in a honky-tonk under a neon light, slow dancing to a steel guitar is where I feel right. All because of my foolish pride, I wound up here tonight with the whiskey, what's left of me.
Well, I tell you what, you've done a great job of filling up the calendar with dates, including one coming up with another friend of the show, Ray Davis, at the Southgate House Revival Bar in Newport, Kentucky. That'll be in early December. You've also done a lot of fairs and festivals and shows across Indiana this summer. What's the rest of the year looking like?
We're pretty much playing fairs and festivals throughout the rest of this month into September. We've got most of September pretty much blocked up solid with dates. We're taking off on the month of October because my wife and I are expecting our first child. So we're going to, kind of slow down a little bit and see what happens with all of that. And, and we've got a few more gigs booked in November and December, but we're going to keep it somewhat light for the rest of the year after October, though. But yeah, that Southgate Revival show with Ray Davis on December 3rd, that's going to be one for the books right there.
So from a song standpoint, you put out Losing My Mind earlier this year. Now you have the new single. When might we see a full album from Cody Ikerd and the Sidewinders?
Well, yeah, we're finishing up our project. We've got a studio date next week, actually, and hopefully we'll have another song recorded by either September or early October. And I'm hoping to be able to put that all together. I've got most of the artwork already finished and everything, so I'm hoping to have a new EP put out hopefully by either the end of the year or early 2022. So we're just kind of putting out these singles and letting people feel out kind of this new sound that we got going on and seeing when a good time to release our next project will be.
So as we said in the open, the new single is out now, Guitars and Whiskey, two symbols central to the country music culture. Tell me about what inspired you to write that song.
I was sitting around having a couple of beers one night by myself, and I came up with that guitar riff just out of nowhere. This was probably about 3.5 years ago, honestly. And I had written the first two verses, and I knew they were good. I just didn't really know where to go with the song from that point. So I'd had it kind of sitting around for another couple of years without even touching it. And I knew it was good, and I kind of knew I wanted to do something different with this next project. So I went back and revisited it and came up with a chorus line and another verse hanging out with my buddy. And, it kind of just came in, and I showed the guys the song, and they really liked it. And it's kind of got more of a Southern rock vibe to it. And, the song itself is kind of about the struggles of being in a working band and, kind of finding your place, putting yourself out there for people to see, being out on the road and guitar slinging and whiskey drinking, pretty much.
I thought you were going to say I was just sitting around playing guitar and drinking whiskey one night, and it just came to me.
I actually wasn't drinking whiskey when I wrote it. Kind of wish I was.
And now you know the rest of the story.
Yep, there it is.
Well, here it is, the latest from Cody Ikerd and the Sidewinders. This is Guitars and Whiskey on Inside Farm Life.
I've been waking up hungover too many nights a week. I've been flying down this highway at a never-ending speed. 'Cause it's guitars and whiskey that help me not feel so low. But this ringing in my head sounds like that lonesome whistle blows. Oh, that lonesome whistle blows. Well, late night dive is where you'll find me playing in, singing all about my troubles and the heartache in my head. And sometimes at night when that cold wind moans, I can pick up all these pieces that have shattered from my soul. They've shattered from my soul. Well, I just keep moving, not knowing where I'll go. But this hurry up and wait sure has taken its toll. And I know I'm hell-bound by the troubles that keep me having to get by on my guitars and whiskey. All the while I've been living underneath that rolling stone. Well, I'm out here burning rubber while I'm searching for my soul. So when my life is over, he'll just send me to the sky. If there's guitars and whiskey, then there's two reasons why. Yeah, you know the reason Well, I just keep moving, not knowing where I'll go. But this hurry up and wait sure has taken its toll. And I know I'm hell-bound by the troubles that keep me having to get by on my guitars and whiskey. My guitars and whiskey.
So what else is on the musical bucket list for you?
Well, hoping we can. We're playing a show with Alex Williams on September 2nd at the Bluebird in Bloomington. That's going to be an awesome show. I'm hoping to try to get it sold out because Alex Williams has been out there on the road doing his thing and just, killing it everywhere he goes. So I'm really happy that he's letting us open up for him and, just trying to get through these fair and festival shows and trying to spread the gospel of country music.
There it is. Well, I tell you what, for anybody else who's a believer, where can they go to follow your career and download music and follow tour dates and all that good stuff?
For sure. We're on pretty much all social media platforms. I'm not on TikTok yet. Haven't quite got there. But you can look us up at Cody Ikerd Music on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And as far as where our music is located, it's on every streaming platform, anywhere from Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon, pretty much wherever you get your music, we got it on there. So, and definitely, come out to some live shows and buy some physical copies of the CDs too, because we have those as well. So.
And he's got a baby on the way, so make sure you go do that.
Yeah, I need the money.
Well, Cody, go practice your TikTok dancing here. And thank you so much for taking the time to join us here on Inside Farm Life. And we certainly hope you come back in the future and share more of that great music with us as you get it out there.
Thank you very much, Brent. And anytime you want me on, I'd be more than happy.
And we want to thank you so much for joining us this week and invite you back again next week for more Inside Farm Life. In the meantime, we'd love for you to subscribe to the Inside Farm Life podcast at Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Deezer, Audible, and Odyssey. Also, please be sure to like the Farm Life Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can catch all the latest content from Farm Life Media. And we want to say a special thank you to our friends at AGCO, the presenting sponsor of this week's show. AGCO will be the presenting sponsor of all Inside Farm Life shows in the month of August, and I hope you'll go and check them out at the end of this month at the Farm Progress Show in Decatur, Illinois, where many of their fine products will be on display. Again, you can find them online at agcocorp.com. We also want to say a special thank you to our additional sponsors, GoatLifeClothing.com, Concept Agritech, and Gateway Seed. Well, friends and neighbors, the clock on the wall tells us it's time to get on out of here. So for now, it's Brent Adams. Let's meet up here again next week, shall we? And hey, bring along a friend.
You've been listening to Inside Farm Life, a production of Farm Life Media. If you have topic suggestions for future episodes, drop us a line at brent@farmlifemedia.com. And be sure to check out our website, farmlifemedia.com.